Hello, 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 hello. How are we all? Welcome along to FAB Rugby and welcome to, yes, the Six Nations Round 1 review. So there's me, Craig. Christian is up here. Hello.
Hello.
And Will is, hold on, there, I think. There, close enough.
Yeah, got
How are you?
him.
How are you both? You well?
Good,
Yeah,
good,
all
good, good.
good. Right, hello everybody.
Yep.
Welcome along in the chat. Drop what we're asking for is your 3-word review. So 3 words to sum up round 1 of the Guinness Six Nations. It was a peculiar round, to say the least, for many different reasons, but we'll get into them very shortly. So I asked for your 3-word reviews earlier, and yeah, we've got a few sent in, but drop yours into the chat. Hey Matt, how you doing? Hey Josiah, hey Darren. Okay, so we've had a few already. So Archie RCH, I got that right this time, Archie, said Scottish Grand Slam. Matty says England very poor. Beatty01 says wake up call. GM Halsey says I'm now French, which I liked. Harry Nicole said did not disappoint. Okay then, so let me know yours in the chat. O'Mahony cost game, Rory T says. Josiah says, what the hell? Darren says, Van der Merwe. How are we doing, Freddie? Welcome along. England were terrible. Right, okay, Christian, let's go. What's your 3-word review? I like that. Will?
That's nice. I can't top that, but I've gone for wait till whistle.
Wait till whistle. Okay, I've gone for DuPont world class. There's not much more. I know it was against Italy, but we'll get into all that very shortly. Let's see what you guys are saying. Drop all yours in the comments. I want to hear what you guys are saying. Let me hear what you. Poor Billy Burns, Josh says. Matthew says France on fire. Freddie's gone Ford over Farrell. Ollie's gone Antoine Mucksauce DuPont. Who was muted? Who was muted? Somebody said muted. Okay, I might not switch then in that case. Okay, right, so let's get underway. We'll get started with Italy versus France. Okay, so the first game, let's have a quick look at the results. So Italy lost to France at home, 50 points to 10. Scotland beat England, 11 points to 6. And Wales beat Ireland, 21-16. Okay. Let's get started. Let's get right into it then. So, Italy, France then. Let's have a look. I'm going to put some stats up for you. You can have a bit of a nose on as we go. And I'm going to tell you some bits about the game. So, here we go. France opened their campaign with a 7-try win over Italy. Italy's sloppy mistakes cost them, as well as dominant defence from France. DuPont showed exactly why he is regarded as the best 9 in the world currently. I'm just going to pop this up. That one. So, France started early with a try from Dylan Cretin after 5 minutes. A great break from Teddy Thomas, who skipped through defenders. And, yeah, Italy just were flailing all over the place with that. Italy showed signs of promise in the first 20, but also suffered set-piece issues. Brex, Varney and Garbisi highlights for Italy. And France bonus try score in the 48th minute after Doulan and Villiers link up. But there was one particular moment where everybody was talking about and was shown was the Dupont outrageous flip inside. Yeah. Let's be honest, it was a bit naughty for Arthur Vincent to score. Like, he had no right to do it, and DuPont played pretty much that game. Well, he played it on a different planet. He was playing it completely different to everyone else. He was playing on cheat mode that whole game. Okay. So, yeah, it fully was. So, Italy head to Twickenham on Saturday as France play Ireland. That's the next game for them. So, I thought I'd ask you, Will, to get started. Thoughts on Italy's performance and what can they do then? What can they take from that game on Saturday? Because the scoreline's pretty grim. But what can they take forward to England and potentially cause an upset, maybe?
I mean, it's really tricky because there's not a lot of positives that Italy can take out of that. I mean, it's difficult. They came in against probably the favourites, definitely the favourites now. But the favourites to sort of go and storm this competition. Sort of everything that Italy were weaker at was one of France's biggest threats. Open play. When the ball was kicked over and sort of released by Italy, that sort of broken field defence was open like big barn doors, and the likes of Teddy Thomas and Antoine Dupont had a field day, and we saw that. their set pieces also, as you mentioned there, Craig, was a woe and a worry for them, and will only be tested more by England on Saturday. But I think at 9 and 10 in Varney and Garbisi, they seem to be working up quite well. They're young, and exciting, and if we're looking at Italy, have always sort of come across and said that they're going to go for a big plan, and it's like a 4-year plan, and that's been going on for about 8 years now. But regardless, they want this plan. I think Garbisi and Varney are definitely the way forward, but they were young and they were making some mistakes, and France were capitalising on it. So quite a lot of bad things, but can take some positives there with those halfbacks.
So I'm going to come to Christian in a sec. Hopefully you can hear Christian when I leave it on this camera. If I won't change to Christian's camera, I'll leave it as is. If you can still hear Christian, or if you can't hear him, let me know in a second. Okay, so very frustrating watching Italy, to be honest. Matthew said, Etienne, how you doing, Etienne? Welcome along. Italy were promising and didn't deserve to concede 50. France showed flair but didn't try that much. Magnus Peacock, Italy showed more promising attack than I've ever seen them, despite lacking Pellegrini and Minozzi, but their defence was non-existent. Ollie Wallace, Garbisi looked pretty good, as did Ione. And Josh Watson said, Italy scored a class try, to be fair. And they also had one short top as well, where Varney, the double dummy, and then set up, and it was the final pass was forward. So, Christian, then, were there any weaknesses in that French performance, do you think? Do you think there was any weaknesses?
I mean, it's pretty difficult to find weaknesses in a team that can put 50 points on any team, regardless of the opposition. But I think that defensively, potentially against a better team, they may have been sort of caught out. I mean, the rush defence is a bold one, but against potentially more sort of the opposition that are maybe, I don't want to say better, but you know what I mean. There's potential that some gaps could have been exploited, and France would have been made to pay the price against them. But in general, it is tough to sort of criticise a 50-point any team that can put 50 points on another. So
yeah, I feel like watching it. I felt like they got off the line really fast, and you could really see that kind of the urge to put Italy under pressure. Yeah, there is certainly going to be tougher challenges ahead for France. There's no
it's sort of similar to the way that Racing played against Exeter in the final, and what cost them that try is that a lot of the time they sort of rush up and they're really eager, and they just want to go get the ball back. And I think against more of a structured attack like you get with the other four, it could cost you a bit.
Yeah, it was a strange game, and I felt like I didn't feel Italy played that badly, and I think like Etienne said, the scoreline for me flattered the performance. I think it was when they were 24-3 down. I was like, where has this come from? But it's just France capitalised on a few sloppy passes, like that incredible try for Vincent was all set up because of a sloppy pass from Varney. So there was just things that they could just need to work out, but they showed. The ball was whizzing across that back line, and actually it was a pretty good game for being a 50-10. It was just France were just too good. That's the truth of it. They were just too good for Italy. As much as Italy shot themselves in the foot a few times, France were just a good side. Let's see what everyone else is saying. I can never pronounce his name, wasn't throwing left hooks, which was nice. If Garbisi stayed on for 80, it could have been a little different. His HO was irritating, totally correct, but he makes a difference to them. Absolutely. After Dupont went on, they went 20 minutes without scoring. As good as Serin can be, they are far less threatening with Antoine Dupont off. And he's just such a big player, and there's no doubting at the moment the way he's playing. There's not many players in the world that are even close to him. Like he was literally 2 steps ahead. Like Italy would kick the ball, he'd be there. They'd think, we're going to play it. He'd be there making a tackle. He was always reading the game perfectly. He was always in the right place at the right time. It was a very impressive performance. And although it was just against Italy, though, 28 consecutive losses now. Sam Warburton has come out and called for relegation. He said, look, the threat's got to be there. There's got to be some kind of punishment for not delivering results. Simple yes or no. Will? Should relegation?
No.
Christian?
No.
I still think no.
Yeah, I guess, this is the thing. And I saw a few people saying, maybe Georgia should be in it. But let's be honest, we saw them in the All Nations Cup. Yeah, unless they're going
Just end up going up and down each time. It would be like we have them Championship and Premiership. Just every team
Yeah.
just going bouncing up and down and back and forth.
Absolutely. Right, Monty, I only impressed, says Harry. Vani and Gabisa look good, Freddie said. Matthew says, be interesting to see DuPont up against better opposition. Well, I don't think it matters, to be honest. I think when we play England, I think he's still going to cause chaos. He's just playing on a different level at the minute. A bit like Semi in the Premiership. He's just different level, absolute different class of player. Okay, so that's a bit about France and a bit about Italy. Is there anything else you guys want to say? Anything else you want to say on this game? Anyone else in the chat? Georgia would get beaten by Italy all the time. And this is the thing. They're not at that strength. But then someone said, well, what about if you gave Georgia 20 years? Would they get better? Because we've had 20 years of Italy now and they're not really getting any better, are they now? So maybe the danger of, well, there's no harm in trying. Just a thought.
Do you think that Italy aren't getting any better? I mean,
I think they're getting better, but it's just not... Maybe it's just the other teams just getting so much
Yes,
better.
so is everyone else. And they're sort of like travelling up and it's not really making much of a difference.
Set pieces were a big issue this weekend. Like there was a couple of times it was like they got stung for a penalty, then another penalty from a scrum or a line out, and it was just like, well, there you go. There's 70 metres just off the pitch. So
I mean, like France aren't even known for their set piece. If you put that up against James Ryan and Mario Toge, would eat that Italian set piece for breakfast. It would those sort of players would be having a field day, wouldn't they?
Well, this is it, and I think the tackling for me was one of the big things this weekend that I felt just wasn't up to scratch, like to where it should be. They attacking wise they looked great, but defensive they were woeful. They were really, really poor. But then I don't want to give France all the plaudits because I think there was a lot of Italian mistakes which kind of opened the opportunities, and they looked great in attack, but defensively, yeah, they've got a lot of work to do for me. Let's see. We'll finish off then. Georgia would get beaten by Italy all the time. We've said that one earlier. A 2-year cycle would be interesting. Play one at home, one away, and a promotion of demotion based. Yeah, why not just a playoff? If Italy are going to win it every time, fine, they can stay in it the following year. Yeah, there's a lot of entertainment with that one game then. There's a lot of pressure. Georgia scraped a 10-point victory over Russia on Saturday too. Yeah, I saw that. Italy have a better record in the Six Nations than France did for their first 20 years in the Five Nations. Hey, Shona, how you doing? Welcome along. Charlie says, Ollie Wallace, D-Tech, Craig. Right, okay. Right, let's get into it. Let's move on then. Shall we move on? The standard of rugby in Rugby Europe tournament has increased massively. It's getting better, but it's almost like the top level teams are going further and further away. Like I'd say you've got like the England, well, not England at the minute, let's be honest. France are leaving everybody to dead at the minute. Then England, Wales are certainly struggling at the minute. Scotland, definitely getting better. Ireland, yeah, I thought we'll go into them in a second, but Italy are being left behind defensively, but attacking they look great. So we'll see what we get against Twickenham, against England at Twickenham. Right, let's move on. Right, okay, right. So England Saturday, all the hopes of a nation. Everybody was excited. Everybody thought, right, England, they haven't lost to Scotland at Twickenham for 38 years. Should be a doddle, right? Apart from Christian, actually. Christian, if you watch that last week's show, Christian can feel smug this week because he called it. He called it. Okay, he called it. Right, let's get into some stats then. Let's put some bits and bobs on the screen for you guys to see. I'm going to do the Tom Curry competition between after we've done this. So if you're in here for that, I'm going to do that after the England review. Okay, so Scotland's first win at Twickenham since 1983. Scotland had 63% possession and England just could not get into the game. When they got the ball, they just kicked it. England tactically felt too obvious, specific phase and then kick. That's what it felt like for much of the game. I'm just going to switch to this. Over here. The contrast of centres. Redpath looked composed and solid on debut. Ollie Lawrence ran for 3 yards with 1 carry. Dwayne van der Merwe scored the only try of the game after some good handling. England can search all they want for answers, and I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to be honest with you. The honest answer is Scotland were just better. As simple as that. Scotland just played very well. They were well drilled and were solid. In the game, 19 passes from Ben Youngs. Yes, 19 passes from Ben Youngs, 18 from Owen Farrell. Gray, Hogg, Watson, Turner, all magnificent throughout. Now, I'm going to switch back to here. I'm going to say this. If I do miss any Scots, then just take it as the fact I'm saying every Scottish player, including the physio, including the analysis, including Waterboy, including just in case anybody from Scotland is going, well, they didn't thank him. Everybody did their job and everybody did well. So well done to Scotland, and genuinely as an England fan, well done. And I truthfully mean that. Like, you played superb. I cannot knock anything about the performance. But these boys, they've got the challenge of doing that. So I'm going to come to Christian then. We'll start with England first. Where do England go next? When they go to Italy, what have they got to do? Like, what will we see much change? Yeah, what do we think of England this week, and Italy? What's going to change?
I mean, I'm hoping we see a change, because it's
it's going to be the same team sheet. It's going to be the same team sheet.
I'll be so frustrated if it is, because I just can't get my head around why players aren't being picked on form and how they're performing at their clubs at the moment. Whereas, because there seems to be this sort of Eddie Jones blueprint about the players that he picks week in, week out, and I don't want to say there's no development, because there clearly has been. Because like, we got to a World Cup final in 2019. Like, there's definitely been improvements within the team, but as other teams are developing as well, we're playing the same players in the same positions, and even when they're not performing at their best, and it's like Owen Farrell. A lot of the Sarries boys, let's be honest, weren't up for it, or they weren't sort of ready for that match at that intensity and at that level this weekend. And I think a lot of it is to do with selection. Myself,
I think there is definitely, for me, it feels like a loyalty issue. There's too much loyalty at the moment.
I agree.
I feel like a change up in that would be a big thing. Now, guys, this is where I want you guys to give us input. Give us your input for England. Give us your input for Scotland. Magnus says it seems like they still haven't learned the Edinburgh, Glasgow international players, Dwayne van der Merwe. Look, take what I said earlier. We've covered it off. Everybody played well for Scotland. Let's be honest. It was a superb game from Scotland across the board. And who would you say stood out for you then, Will? Who was your standout players? But, and I noticed somebody said to me, they said about the fact that not every Scot sees it as England's is the big game. And it wasn't a statement like that. It was just a statement of what people have said in the past about, like Jim Hamilton and people like that have all said, look, we would put everything into that game. That's where we based that comment on last week. And it's kind of, now is the big test for me for Scotland, how far they've come. Can they back it up against Wales? What do you think, Will?
Yeah, it's first of all, I'm going to touch upon sort of my favorite players in that game. I thought that Stuart Hogg just managed that backfield so well. You spoke about it, Craig, about how many times England just kicked away the ball, and they got so little out of it because Stuart Hogg was always there with his spiral boot and putting balls back into England's half. I also thought that Ali Price looked a bit wobbly at the start, was getting charged down quite a bit, but then really grew into the game. And him and Finn Russell sort of just controlled England really well. Sort of just put them to bed quite slowly and just sort of suffocated out their sort of edge, which, to be honest, wasn't there. So there wasn't much suffocating to do. Then I also thought both Gray brothers, Richie Gray and Johnny Gray. When Richie Gray came on and they had them two in the pack, I thought that those two were really strong as well. And just in general, I can't really pick out a player. It was proper class from Scotland. If they can back it up, Wales is so unpredictable at the moment. I'd say Wales are the new France. They could turn up and really sort of have a go at it, and off the back of a win against Ireland, albeit, I mean, we'll get into it, albeit a bit of a lopsided win. But Scotland, I do back them. I think they'll do well.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Right, I'm going to see what you guys are saying. Ross says, Hamish Watson put in another claim for a Lions call-up. Now, the back row is an interesting one this weekend because there's a few people this weekend who stood out for me. Hamish Watson, Tipperick were two of the big names. But Hamish Watson was superb this weekend. Freddie says about England, I think Eddie should change the lineup next game, play the likes of Thorley, Randall and Itoje. Was the only person who wanted it more than any others. Watson was good for sure. Matthew says, keep the same XV. This is England. No point changing it. The foundation of the squad, and there's no point playing people who aren't playing in 2023. The Saracens a lot particularly haven't played properly in the months, and I think that's the big issue, isn't it? It certainly is. And we picked that out as last week as one of the potentially big flaws, and actually played out as expected. The Scottish back row is one of the best in the world, flankers especially. Absolutely. Keep the same pack, change forward. Farrell, Matt Fagerson, although relatively inexperienced, was sensational. Yeah, and like I think that's the thing. I think up front, like Scotland they just stopped England getting anything. They just took every option England had. Scotland just completely nullified it. They just literally got. You think, England are going to get going in a minute. They're going to get going in a minute. Going to get going in a minute, and it just never came. That was just because Scotland dominated them. Go on.
You had those dominant carriers, like the Vunipolas, the Genge. You always expect when those players are playing that they have at least one sort of dominant moment where they go boom, and then they shut someone down, and then the tables turn. That did not happen. And it was so weird to see that they were just completely sort of nullified.
Yeah, Christian.
Can I just say something as well? So, being a Harlequins fan, there's often games that we go into where we are the underdog. So we'll go, like when we went up to us the other day, we were the underdog and we ended up putting 49 points on them. But the way the media always portrays it is that the underdog, obviously you're never expected to win, but especially with this England-Scotland game, like no one really expected, well, a lot of people would have expected Scotland to go to Twickenham and get a result. But and they did. I've completely lost my train of thought. That's fine. But yeah, but just it frustrates me that teams that go in as the underdog and get a result don't get the credit they deserve, because it's usually all about the other team haven't performed.
They lost rather than they won. Yeah,
exactly. So the reason that England didn't perform is because, as you said, Scotland completely and utterly shut them down in every single aspect of the game.
Yeah,
and that I think needs to be recognised more within the media.
Do you think it could be that sort of England ignorance that that they sort of expected to win at some point?
Well, look, and I think 38 years since Scotland have gone down and won there, so there is definitely a reeling of like what went wrong. That's the way they're going to view it, because that is the way the press work. But it's straight up. Scotland won that game. England didn't lose it in any way, shape, or form. Scotland won that game. There's nothing that proves anything other. Scotland dominated every single bit of that game. So yeah, sometimes you just have to. I saw the Eddie Jones post-match interview, Jamie George post-match, and they all were just like, do you know what? We just got beaten. As simple as that. Every aspect of the game we got beaten. So yeah, look, it's an interesting one. Let me see what everyone's saying, and we're going to move on. And I've got to do the draw, actually. The Saracens' lack of game, so there's no excuse. Maitland had one of his best games in years. Yeah, but I think there's a big difference between Maitland and the other lads is their key positions. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but you're talking your 10, your 8. Like, they're two of the most important positions in the game. And they just weren't firing throughout the game. We didn't have any carries. And yeah, we kicked so much ball. It was I saw Mike Tyndall come out and said, when are England going to click that kicking the ball away is not going to win you games, or not going to get you points?
Is that not a bit of a concern that the team aren't adapting to that during the match?
Do you know what? Like, I was thinking about this. Is like, I'll use a tennis analogy a little bit here. Is when you watch the best tennis players play, they often are they'll lose the first set. But then they often are able to adapt and learn and adjust. And then they come back and usually win quite comfortably. They always find a way to win. And that's the thing with England that I was disappointed with, is they didn't adapt. They didn't change what they were doing. It was almost like, just a rabbit in the headlights. But that is purely down to Scotland. Truthfully, Scotland just played well. England, yes, you can criticise them for that, but Scotland played well, and that's the end and the bottom line of it all. Right, I'm going to come back to it, and then we're going to finish off with the draw. Scotland were brilliant, but England's poorness helped Scotland. Finn Russell hasn't lost against England in the last 4 matches against them. 3 were in Twickenham.
Yeah, because of
How's that work?
they played against the Barbars.
Oh, right, okay. I completely
and
agree. It was also with Argentina and New Zealand. Argentina played brilliant, and media were not focused on Argentina. Maitland was fielding the English kicks. Yeah, but it's still not. I don't disagree with you when you compare us. Yes, he hasn't played. Saracens played, but a winger is a very different role to a 10 and an 8. It's a very 10 and 8 are probably two of your most important positions on the field alongside scrum half, and yeah, obviously you've scrum as well. But a winger, like, it's obviously important, but you can. It's not as like, you don't need to keep match. I don't know. It's just my view anyway. It's just that's what it is. It's a view. Right. Okay. It does this every now and again. I can hear myself come back. Don't know what happened there. Right. Shall we do the draw? Shall we find out a winner of the Tom Curry shirt? So we were lucky to have teamed up with Firma Stella. Now we were giving away a Tom Curry signed shirt. So if I switch over to here, I can. Well, I'll be doing the draw on here. I can't actually get it over to there. Right. So let's check that's all good. So I need to get the comments. Right. Just bear with 1 sec, guys, and then we'll pick the winner. And there we go to select the post. Six Nations giveaway. 3. Let's go. Get comments. Bear with, guys. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know where it come from there, Shona. Right. Okay. So we're just about to do the draw, guys, and I will tell you. I'm gonna check them. If you've joined up for it, I'm gonna check it. Check the winner against it. Right. I'm gonna press start raffle and let's see who comes out the winner. Right, let's go see if they followed every account and liked it. So they've liked it. Let's go. This is where you go to their account, they don't follow you, and it's like, oh. Hold on. Can't even find this guy. Oh, no, that's not him. Oh, wait, that is him. He does follow us. Okay. Right, we have a winner. It is this person, Joe Philpin. Joe Philpin, 16253. I will DM you and I'll get your details and we can get you a signed Tom Curry shirt. Congratulations. Hey. Congratulations. Well done. So I will DM you. You're probably not watching, but I will DM you and we will get that shirt sent out to you. Okay. Right, shall we move on to the final game of the weekend? Now, this one, well, I would say this was the game of the weekend. I really enjoyed this game. I truthfully really enjoyed it. Okay, right, let's put this up on here. So there. Oh, no, not one. This one. Okay, so Wales beat Ireland 21-16. Wales hold on for a win against 14-man Ireland after Peter O'Mahony sees red for contact to the head after 14 minutes. Ireland are still trying to win an away game under Andy Farrell. Surprised me that one did. Now this was Etienne in the chat. I know you picked this one up, and I really 15-16 after the red card. So Ireland scored more points than Wales after the red card. Mind blowing, that one. Let's switch to the react. And bear with. So tries from George North and Louis Summit and 11 points from Lee Halfpenny sealed success for Wales. Ireland could have won it at the death with a penalty, giving Billy Burns the chance to kick for the corner and a potential match-winning line-out drive, only for the replacement to kick the ball dead. I put Sexton, Byrne and Robbie Henshaw standouts for Ireland. I thought Sexton had a really good game. Justin Tipuric and Wyn Jones having big games for Wales, although Tipuric did slip and missed the tackle in the first half. Was it Byrne scored off of that? Ireland played very well, I thought, and actually to their strengths, they kept the ball. There was a couple of statistics that stood out to me. Wales keen to play first phase rugby only. So on the first phase, they literally played that 35 times. Not many phase play games after that. Ireland, on the other hand, had 28 3+ phases, if that makes sense. So 3+ phase plays, they had 28 with Ireland. Wales hardly had any. Right, I'm going to switch back. So yeah, bit of a confusing one there, but I hope that kind of made sense. Wales travel to Murrayfield on Saturday. Ireland host France on Sunday. Right, Will, do Wales fans have more to ponder why they couldn't put away 14 men and why, it should have been more comfortable than it was? Let me know in the chat your thoughts on the Ireland-Wales game, please. Go for it, Will.
So this was brought up at half time by one of the pundits, and I can't for the life of me remember who it was. It might have been Martin Johnson. But when a team gets a red card, it is much more difficult for it to be a back than it is for it to be a forward. I mean, a lot of people might think, oh, why? Because it's scrummaging line out sort of creates confusion. But if you think about it, the backs players have, if a back goes out, let's say a 12 or a 13, all those set plays and set moves and attacking formations and communication is gone out the window because you haven't got that particular role there. In the forward pack, you can huddle around each other and just say, right, lads, we've just got to play for this extra man. We've got to do a little bit more here and there and hit those rucks a little bit harder. Well, probably not now because that's why Peter Mahoney went off. But you just gotta put your head down and really work for it. So I think Ireland managed it quite well. I think Byrne, Stander, Ryan, not so much, but that sort of those players, Will Connors when he came on as well, properly stood up and put their heads down and sort of made it seem as though they hadn't lost a player. Wales, on a reflection on Wales's side, yeah, it's a frustrating one. I think it should be a concern that they couldn't put that to bed early on. And I think it did come down to just a bit of brilliance from George North and Louis Rees-Zammit respectively to get those tries. So yeah, I think it should be a concern for PVAC at the moment.
Right, let's see what you guys are saying. Ross says Wales are a boring aging side. Need to get some young blood through. I see someone replied. Gus said Ross, they tried that last year and only beat Italy and Georgia. Still not a big fan of Wales, to be honest. Matthew says both Ireland and Wales will be smashed by Scotland at this rate. Scott Robinson in for PVAC out. How you doing, Batman again? Hey Bears Gamer, how you doing, mate? Damn, I'm late to the show. Evening. Josh says, as an Ireland fan, Porter, Byrne, Henderson, Stander, Sexton, Henshaw, Keane were all very good. Yeah, I thought Keane looked good as well, didn't he? I think yesterday's game papers over the cracks, playing the majority of the game against 14. And that's exactly how I felt, actually. I felt that Ireland played very well, but Wales were poor, truthfully.
Yeah.
Tipuric was solid. Wyn Jones was solid. I thought Alan Wyn-Jones didn't have a bad game, to be honest. I thought, considering I think he's had 2 months out, so to come back and play that well after 2 months out, yeah.
Same as what Vunipola and Farrell have had
That's
out.
It.
So
does George North stay at 13 or move to the wing against Scotland? Quick yes or no, wing or centre, Christian?
I like him in the centre.
Will?
I think he's good in the centre.
wing, get Amos onto the bench utility.
So I'm gonna say, well, Amos is actually going to be injured, so they've got an injury list, of Lydia, Johnny Williams, Amos, Thomas Williams, all look set to miss Saturday's game. North, for me, I feel like he should be outside. He doesn't really pass, and there's no disrespect to him, but I feel like he's got that instinct of just run with the ball.
He's a winger. He's played winger for 10 odd years. That transition, obviously, he's been playing there at Ospreys at 13, but it might have been a slightly harder transition for him to sort of move to outside centre. Very different role.
Yeah, I see. Ben says Lydia was a massive loss at the start, and Alan Wyn-Jones was quality, or Alan Wyn, sorry, was quality. Peter Mahoney is a dirty player. Do you think he should? Players who receive red cards should have bigger fines or a longer match. I think he's going to get punished enough. That's what they've got to get out of the game, but. It was an awful incident, in all honesty. But it looked. Barnes at first was like, no, it's fine. But then actually, on reflection, it was deemed how bad it was. Yeah, it wasn't nice, and it's not good to see that in the game, to be honest.
Would it have been different if Francis had gone off? If Francis had gone off seriously injured, would we be sitting here thinking, oh no, that was seriously bad from Mahoney? Because Francis sort of walked up and got away from it, I think that puts a bit of light on the.
No, I still think it was bad. Truthfully, I still think it was bad. And
is that not? Is it because it's not judged on the outcome?
No, it's not. So it's still bad. It's
the action rather than the outcome.
Yeah, Mahoney was. For me, it was a red, and it'll probably 4 or 5 week ban. I'd go pretty strict. I'd ban him for the tournament now. And that's not him directly, but you've got to. it's got to be clear cut. It's got to be tough on those kind of things because you don't want to see that during a game when so many people are watching it as well. Slow-mo makes everything look bad, but it was bad. It was bad slow-mo or speed. Actually, I thought it made it look worse when they put it at full speed. It was like, whoa. Yeah, it wasn't the best. So it's a tricky one with Ireland at the minute. I think Irish fans can take a lot of heart from that game, truthfully. But yeah, what do you think, Christian? Do you think Irish fans should be like impressed with that performance, but ultimately frustrated? Do you think they can pat the door at O'Mahony for the issue, or it's just one of those things?
I mean, I think a player of Peter Mahoney's sort of stature and experience should really be more responsible on the pitch with that. I mean, I know that these things do happen. You know, sometimes it can be classed as a rugby incident, but it's reckless, like massively reckless. But I think that Ireland did well to do the sort of classic thing of you go down to 14 and you up your game by 2 or 3 levels, which I think they really did. Like you see it all the time in games because, like Will said to you before, you're paying for that sort of that man who's off the pitch and trying to keep the same intensity and keep the same sort of energy within the game. And I think they, from an Irish fan's perspective, I mean, they didn't get the result, but I think that having that sort of culture and mentality within the team, especially in a big tournament like the Six Nations, is super important. And to show that sort of grit and gut, even if they didn't quite see out the result, I think that as an Irish fan, you've got to be quite happy with the effort.
Yeah, I think they'll take a lot of heart from it, to be honest with you. I'd be more impressed if I was an Irish fan than I was a Welsh fan, truthfully, with that performances.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd have been a lot happier. Let's see what everyone's saying. Sexton caught someone with a flailing arm to the net not long after. Yeah. There was a few incidents actually. Was it Johnny Williams, the one where a head-to-head clash?
Yeah.
Ollie saw an interesting opinion online about should clashing heads punish the same. I guess it goes into the aspect of recklessness for me. Like if it's reckless, it doesn't matter the outcome. If it's reckless, it's reckless, and you have a duty of care as a tackler to make sure. Yeah, especially at the moment with all those potential lawsuits and all the stuff that's being churned up from former players. For me, it's like you've got to be strict on this and say, look, the game is clamping down on this. Yeah.
But sometimes it's not the tackler. I mean, I hate to reference Harlequins again, but Andre Esterhuizen, he's a tall man. He's 6'5", and when he goes into contact, he quite often sort of goes chest first, which leaves his head quite open to sort of bonking.
Yeah.
And I mean, on the weekend, he busted his nose completely up because he'd smashed it straight into someone else's face while he was in possession of the ball. So it's
a fine line, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's a fine line because we've seen it. Like we've seen players get done for going low at the minute as well. Like saying the no arm wraps, but you haven't got the time. Like it's getting so hard. It's getting so hard now to actually make a legal tackle, especially with these kind of the resurgence of the tap and go from 5 meters out. Like we saw it in the Newcastle game this weekend where I think it was McGuigan got absolutely zed, and like he ended up getting took up at half time right after that because he had a HIM failed it. So
also the refs are sort of implementing the no lateral a lot more.
It's
so what you're
getting,
it is 100% important. But what you're getting is this guy going in solo against 6 men.
Yeah,
it's sort of like and then just getting battered. It's basically
running into a wall. It's running into a wall directly now. It's getting a bit silly. They've got to sort that out. Let's move back anyway. Let's get back into the talk. We've gone off topic slightly there. Right. So let's see what everyone's saying. Ireland got a bonus point. Easy to forget, but in my opinion, a huge result with the contest. Absolutely. Scotland have got to go out and beat Wales to back up Saturday's win. Yeah, we've said that now. It's one of those things. They've got to back it up. If you told me we play 70 minutes for 40 men before the game and we get a losing bonus point, I would take it. But after watching the match, we should have got the win. So it is mixed views for me. I'm happy with disappointed. We will talk about one final thing because I think we should. So, yeah. There's one person who can be particularly grateful. Where is it? Where did I put it? I can't remember his name. I'm rubbish with what's the scrum half for Wales called? Williams, is it?
Thomas
Williams. How lucky is he that Billy Burns missed that kick. Because if Billy Burns had nailed
Oh
that
no,
kick...
that was Gareth Davis'
Sorry,
kick.
Gareth Davis. Yeah, rubbish for Welsh names. The Gareth Davis with that kick through right at the end, 10 seconds to go, 10 seconds, and he kicks the ball. Like, you saw Bigger going absolutely mental, and you could feel it. Like, you're just like, so yeah, Billy Burns gets the brunt of it, but let's be honest, he should never have been in that position. Like, Wales should have put that game to bed with 10 seconds to go, should they not?
Yeah, no, I think it comes again back down to sort of winning mentality. How many times has Gareth Davies been in a position where he's got to hold out a win in the past year in an international shirt?
It's just a thought process that yeah, it's what they say when people are under pressure, when things are going on, how people react, and yeah, I'd be very worried by that, to be honest with you. Gareth Davis is not known for his mental capacity. Almost a Ben Pottinger moment. Terrible for Burns, though. Yeah, it was bad. But look, Sexton did it early on in the game as well. Don't forget. It happens. He had to go for broke. To be honest, he had to go for it.
Had to.
Like, he had to get it at least on the 5-yard line, to be honest, to give them a real chance. Because so much can go wrong. As much as Irish... Yeah, I can see why you were fuming afterwards, but at the same time, I'd take a lot of pride from that as we go. Right, shall we have a look at the table? Let's see this magical table. I wonder who's going to be top. Okay. Ooh. So France top, 40 points with the points difference. Push. 5 points. They were the only team to get a bonus point, or try scoring bonus point. Wales second on 4. Scotland second on 4. I actually don't know why Wales and Scotland are that way around. That's just the way the graphic's done. Ireland first. England first. What was I saying first? 4th and 5th, sorry, on 1 point.
We wish.
Italy on no points yet and haven't won in 28 games. So, yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. Right, okay, so it's prediction time. So, in the chat, I'm going to call out some games. We've got 3 games to pick out from next weekend, or this weekend now. This weekend, and I want your predictions in the chat. We'll get started. England play Italy at Twickenham on Saturday at 2:15. So, what is the score going to be in the chat, please? England versus Italy on Saturday. Drop those scores in the chat. Okay. So, I know it's not even alphabetical. I don't know. We're not doing a team of the week this week. No, I did think about doing that, but yeah, time, logistics, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Right, Will. England versus Italy. What score are we going to go for?
Italy by 60. No, I'm kidding. It could happen, to be fair.
I'm not writing up anything. But... I'm just going to sit on the fence.
Yeah, draw. I think if we don't see a response from England, like a big time response, then we're in trouble. So I think it really depends on what we see Thursday afternoon with that team sheet.
Thursday morning, 11 o'clock. There you go.
Thursday morning, amazing, even earlier. How great! But I don't think he'll change too much because it's Eddie. We're going to be realistic. I think if they can get the players out, if they can get people like Johnny May involved, I didn't even realise he was playing.
Right, every time he got the ball, he dropped it.
Exactly.
It was one of those games.
Get those players involved, get some points on the board. I don't think it will be your classic England-Italy game where it'll be like 60-0. I'm going for about 28-12 to England.
Okay, Christian?
I'm hoping to see a big response from England. I'm hoping to see a few of the players that didn't get utilised this week, utilised next week. And I think we're going to be having to go out there and make a big statement. So I'm going to go 40 points to 9. I think we're going to shut them out from scoring any tries.
Freddie's gone England 34-17. Bears game has gone England 6, Italy 33. England bonus point, big score. England 36-12. England 65-12. They're going to want a massive win. Matthew says 36-9. Ross says 40 points to 10. England by 35. Scotland, but that's all of them. England 10-12. Eddie doesn't appear to have an attacking plan. I don't think it will be a cricket score. I heard Johnny May had a few quid on Scotland. Does Garbisi kick for Italy? I can't remember. Did he kick it? I know they got a penalty and they.
Not much kicking to do, is there really?
Yeah. So for me, I am not. I reckon there'll be 1 or 2 changes on that team sheet potentially, but I'd be surprised if Eddie changed a lot. It's not in his nature to be sporadic and go right. Randall, Malins, but.
Odogwu?
But if it's going to be any game, it's going to be Italy, isn't
Well, he
it?
needs
Yeah,
to cap
exactly.
up, so I guess they'll probably be on the bench.
It is Garbisi, by the way, who kicks for Italy.
It's for me. I don't think England could score 100 points, and I'd still feel a bit like, just because it's. I know that sounds really disrespectful, but I need to see more when we play bigger games. Like when we play, like big games, and we need to show more. Like, even if we score the best attacking tries, I think I'm going to be happy this weekend because I'm still annoyed from this weekend. But look, I think it's going to probably be the way Italy played. I think they could bag a couple, so I reckon it's going to be 32-12. There you go, 32-12. That's my prediction for it. Right, okay. Next game then. Let's have a quick look. Let's go here. Scotland versus Wales at BT Murrayfield. 4:45. My brain was trying to work out 16. 4:45 kickoff there. Right, so Scotland versus Wales. Scotland, can they back it up with a win? Let me know in the chat, please. Let me know in the chat. Hi, James. How you doing? Welcome along, mate. Fab, how is Sam Simmons not in the team? Yeah, at the moment, I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know. He's playing so well at the minute. But that's I could rant on for ages about that. Let's go. Will, tell me what your prediction, please, for Scotland versus Wales.
I haven't formally checked the weather, but I think it was going to be cold.
It's always cold.
It looks
Scotland.
It looks as though it might even be snowy because it's on with the storm and whatever's going on. It will be cold and it will be snowy. I think we'll have a lot of errors. I think it will. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game at all. I think both teams will show their faults, but both teams will also show a bit of promise. I'm going with 19 points to 12 to Scotland.
19 points to 12. So, Big Drew's gone 17 points to 12, Scotland. 25-16, Scotland, Wales. Wales 21, Scotland 13. Scotland 24, Wales 17. Scotland by 12. Scotland 22-8. It's pretty much all Scotland, 24-13. I don't know. It is snowing now in Edinburgh. There we go. So, Christian, what are we going with? What's your score prediction?
Let me just take off my jumper and get my Scotland shirt out. I think they're going to back it up this weekend. I think it's going to be, like Will said, I don't think it's going to be a particularly high-scoring game. Probably 16 points to 11, something like that. I feel like Scotland might score a couple of tries.
Don't remind us of that scoreline. Oh no, 6-11. Oh, same thing. Still scarring.
Scotland to beat a bare bones. Sorry, God.
I was just going to say the forecast is 2 degrees and a little bit snowy for Edinburgh.
That's warm. That's warm. That's
quite warm.
Tropical.
Yeah.
That is tropical. Scotland to beat a bare bones Wales quite comfortably, 21-6 unless Sheedy plays. Selection is important, I think, with this one. I really do. Yeah. I'm going to back. I think this could be really close. Really close. I'm going to go Scotland 21-19. There you go. That's my prediction. Okay. Right. Final one then. Final one of the weekend before we round everything up. Ireland versus France then. What we're going to see. What's the score going to be? Let me know in the chat, please. Ireland versus France. And then we'll round off the show. So Ireland, France. Drop some scores in the chat. Christian, let's go you first this time. Ireland, France.
I think it's going to be a France win. Again, I think it might be quite a tight one. Because, I mean, I don't know how much home advantage really has when there's no fans, but got no fans. But there's you still have that. You don't have to travel or anything like that. So I think France will win, and I'm going to go 20 points to 12.
Tight. Right, 36-12 to France. Eddie's gone. Gregor's backed France. Gregor, why are you backing against your boys? You're going against them. Matthew's gone 16-27 to France. Just let Ireland have a win, please. No, I've told you, Josh, I finished in 5th. Hey, Josh, I've made it to 50 minutes into the show, and I've only just now got the dig in that you're going to finish 5th. But Ross says Ireland 21, France 23, 27-35 France to win, 42-19 France. Big Drew says. Freddie says Ireland 17-28, Ireland 3, DuPont 36, Ireland 0, France 105, Ireland 21-24 France. It'll be a high scoring game. I have to back Ireland 19 points to 14 against France. Will, what do you reckon?
I think this will potentially be the game of the tournament. I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm going with 36-30 to France. I'm looking for a belter, but it's Six Nations. Why would I ask for a good game?
I'm gonna go for a shock. I'm gonna go for Ireland to win in wet conditions. Then in Dublin, and I'm gonna back them to win 26-22. 26-22 to Ireland, and it'll be a late try that wins it. There you go. It's going to be a real dogfight of a game. Ireland are going to, I think that. One thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about Ireland, like completely going off topic a little bit, but actually not. If you haven't been watching, Paddy Jackson has been absolutely tearing it up for London Irish, and I know there's a lot of history and stuff, and there's a lot of troubled water there. But my guy is playing well at the minute. Absolutely playing so well. And yeah, for me, they've got to find a way to get him back in that squad, but I don't know.
He's the informed 10
He's
in
absolutely tearing
Irish.
apart for Irish now. He's really settled, looking such a good player amongst such a good team now that they're building there. Sorry, completely random, but I thought I'd just bring that up. Paddy Jackson's a baller, bring him home. Scenes when it's 9-6 to Ireland. Was England versus Scotland not the game at all? It depends who you support, I guess. That's okay, right.
I know Ross is a Scottish fan.
Okay, right, let's go. Have I done everything on the show? I think so. Fixtures. Yeah, done that one. Okay, right, let me just double check on here. So yeah, if you're new to FAB Rugby, make sure you hit subscribe. Like your name appears and does loads of magical stuff. Hit like on this video. I know that might sound daft because every YouTuber says it, but it's really important because other fans find it and it makes this place even better. If you're new to FAB generally, we have a Discord where a lot of these Norses all come and join in. We talk about rugby non-stop. So it'd be great to have you here and have you there and chatting about rugby non-stop. So that's in the link in the description. And the final thing, if you don't know, I'm doing a cycling challenge at the minute for Jigsaw's Rugby. This is Jigsaw's Rugby, where I'm travelling on a bike all the way around the country. Well, I'm not leaving my actual room to do it. I'm cycling 60 kilometres every day, every single day in February, travelling around the country. I passed Newcastle today, so you can find out more information. Go to @fab_Craig on Instagram. And it's all on there, all the information you need. And if you want to donate, feel free to donate. Let's see what everybody else is saying, and then I will finish up. And we'll call it there. Let's see what everyone's saying. Talking about Paddy Jackson, how is Sam Simmons not on the team? We've already discussed that. Matt, he is 100% all the stick about coming fifth, and now he is backing us for the weekend. Yeah, just giving you stick. It's just a bit of fun, isn't it? He was the best number 8. Right, I think we're good. I think we've covered everything off. I've cheered up Josh. Josh is happy after the weekend. That's all we want. It's been a good fun. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining me. Thank you, Christian, and thank you, Will.
No problem. Thank you.
Guys, we will see you soon. And yeah, absolutely looking forward to this weekend's games. And yeah, we'll be back next Monday to basically talk about all the big action and how Ireland basically smashed France to pieces. I was right. England lost to Italy. Garbisi had a field day. And
Sam Simmons scored for Italy just because Eddie Jones hated
a doc who had a change of heart and decided to go back to the Italian camp. Yeah, it's been good fun. Right, listen, guys, we're gonna go. I'm getting tired and it's been a long day. So, guys, thanks very much. We'll see you guys soon. So, take care, everybody. Bye.